I remember when I first got here, I was with Miss Holyfield, and I didn't know what Rise was. But overall, from then to now, I was able to learn a lot of techniques and just in general of how to help the students be able to think more. And it has even helped me inside of like my own learning, because even when I do like I'm in my specialist program, and I love the quote that Terry always uses about learning is not the consequence of teaching, but it's the consequence of thinking. And I feel like that's a very true statement. And I try to help my students think more, and even help myself think more, and use the different techniques. So it's been helping me overall as a student and for my students.
I would have to say it has definitely been beneficial, because when I came in 2020, I was a COVID teacher. So things were literally shifting for everyone, and I kind of felt like I threw myself in the lion's den. But with Rise, I was able to adapt quicker than what I probably would have if I did not learn Rise. As far as the in-depth questions and the critical thinking, I definitely have to agree with Mrs. Woods that when it comes to my students, it add not only structure and organization, but it definitely helped them think deeper and not think from a shallow point of view, not in just school, but with life in general. And I would say me as a fourth year teacher now, I definitely have grown over the years. As far as my planning goes, it made me focus more on, I focus on content, but it made me more confident in knowing that I can apply different strategies with content. And so it keeps me keen on my toes as an educator.
Okay, so in my experience working with Rise, I initially worked with Rise as a math teacher, and then I moved into the position of academic dean. As a math teacher, it helped me to really hone my craft and really think differently about how I go about assessing my students in class and how I use that information to drive my instruction.
Rise has truly changed me as an educator. Before we started implementing Rise formative techniques in class, I really didn't know where my students were until they completed a graded assessment. Now I know exactly where they are minute to minute, and I can make responsive decisions and change how I'm teaching in order to reach the kids and get them to master their learning target versus waiting until the very end where they've bombed a test or a quiz.
Rise has helped me meet my students where they are, develop formative assessments to help track their learning and their mastery of the learning targets and success criteria, and just help them to be better at learning on their own and being self-starters.
As an instructional coach, working with Terry Morgan and Rise has definitely helped me coach teachers, because it kind of gives a baseline and guideline, a blueprint on what to expect. And also, sometimes you have some teachers that might not be coachable, and Terry Morgan always gives us great techniques. Just like he has formative assessment techniques for the teachers, he has them for the instructional coaches as well. So he just provides a great blueprint on how to guide and support our teachers.
Has been a great tool added to whatever I brought to the table, because it kind of pinpoints and puts you in a straight direction on what you can do to improve your interaction and the learning of getting the kids to pick up what they need to pick up. So that would be one of the quick positives I can say about Rise. Is it kind of, you know what you're supposed to do, but when someone has an outline and pointing you in that right direction, it just helps a lot.
Working with Rise has really been extremely beneficial for us at Carver. And me in particular, I appreciate the fact that going in, I wasn't too sure about it. We know that education, every other year there's something new coming out. So I was like, oh, there's something else new. But what I got out of it, first of all, it helped to, or some of the practices that I was doing. We've always known as teachers that we have in our heads what we want our students to know, but actually telling them was a kind of a game changer for me, because for some reason we were acting like it was a big secret, but in actuality it actually opened up a lot of doors, because that then forced me to be more targeted with my planning. It made me become more thoughtful with my planning. Also, the use of formative assessments. I don't think that no one has really ever pushed that idea. It's kind of it feels like it's a new idea, but it's always been there. We've always kind of done it, off and on. But with using RISE, using formative assessments to actually encourage thinking, to open their minds, to allow them to work it out themselves. A friend of mine called it the beautiful struggle, because we have got to allow kids, we cannot talk at them the whole time. There has to be a component where the teacher is directing, but the most important component, I think, is when the kids are interacting with each other, with the material, when they're talking, when they're engaged. Because as a history teacher, I can tell you my content, if it is not taught the correct way, can be the most boring subject ever. But using formative assessment, using the RISE strategies, having understanding that working in groups is pivotal to helping kids to process their thoughts, to sharing in class, to sharing with each other, and making them and allowing them to see other perspectives in these discussions has really helped my kids to grow as learners. It's helped me to grow as a learner, as a facilitator, as a teacher. I get to hear their ideas.
So I would say our greatest impact this year has been around our PLC work, and we all know that our PLCs drive everything. So at the heart of our PLCs, which starts with standards-based planning, and then we move into our target and success criteria, and we have spent the bulk of our time then really in looking at the tasks. And our work with RISE has really allowed us to chunk our instruction. Teachers have a much greater understanding of the instruction that they're delivering through chunks. They know what they're looking for, so we have questions ready to ask students. We are also always thinking about how we are going to quickly assess and use formative assessment techniques for that particular chunk, while we are using engagement strategies. So all of our professional development has come together, and teachers now are walking the walk, and it's very real. It's a very organic process, and we've seen tremendous impact. And so when you walk into a classroom, you see evidence of that in the way that the students are organized for learning. You see that the students are monitoring each other for their learning, as well as the teacher monitoring and tracking students for their learning.
The man himself, Mr. Chris Lindsay. Yeah. We're at Carver High School. I just want to get your input. What has the Rise for Tomorrow, what has it meant for Carver High School?
It has meant every bit of quality instruction being taught to the teachers as well as delivered to the students. The engagement level has basically gone up the roof. And the reason for that is the fact that teachers have been given alternative methods of how to create engaging lessons inside the classroom. Well, that increased confidence comes from the fact that it's not a program that we put in place or a process that we put in place that goes away after a year or so. We've made sure that at the end of the school year, we had a plan of action how to take care of the teachers that are either coming in or the ones that are veterans. And that system that me and you developed, it has worked for the past 7 years, and with that, we focus on what the teachers need, and we also give them all types of resources that they need in order to be successful. So that's the magic of it.